Hey guys, I'd like to talk to you about a service that I just recently used. My wife and I decided to sell our house, and we debated on what real estate agent we wanted to use. And I did some research online and came across isoldmyhouse.com, which is basically a flat fee uh, listing service, and you get the things filled out yourself. They post it on the MLS for you, and then you get all of that visibility of the MLS. I can tell you that it worked fantastic for us. We basically I filled out the paperwork on like Thursday afternoon. Friday it went live. Friday afternoon we had inquiries, Saturday showings, Sunday inquiries, Monday showings and offers, and we basically accepted an offer on Tuesday. So the process was pretty quick, and then you have to go online and update the MLS listing to pending. You do have to be careful with MLS rules that you stay on top of updating things. You've got certain amounts of time that you're supposed to keep things up to date, so you kind of have to follow that process a little bit. But overall, I would, to cut to the chase here, I would highly recommend the I Sold My House. Obviously, it's my opinion, but if you have the time to deal with it, you have the time to kind of advocate for yourself, and basically 3 hours or so to get all the disclosures, pictures, and the property description dealt with. And then I'd say Saturday I probably had a good 4 hours worth of time in showings, a little bit of time Sunday in communications, another couple hours in showings on Monday, and then another couple hours of paperwork on Tuesday. So I would say I had probably 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 11. So let's just round it off and call it 12 hours. I had 12 hours of time into this, and I've saved myself around 10,000 in commission. So highly recommend it. That's pretty good hourly wage if you get 10 grand for 12 hours of work. So a hair under $1,000 an hour. So I can do that any day of the week. The process, just to kind of touch on that briefly here, when you sit down to do with it, to fill the paperwork out, block out everything that's going on around you. If you've sold your house, or if you bought a house recently or in the recent past, and you have all that paperwork with the old purchase and sales that you used in the disclosure information, that's really critical because it'll save you a ton of time. So sit down, have the disclosure paperwork in your hands from the old sale of your home. Be sort of creative, writing minded, so that you can write a really good property description and get all the pictures taken beforehand, so that you can basically sit down for 3 hours, go through, get all the disclosure stuff done, get all of the pictures uploaded, and fill out that description, and then send it all over. And literally the next day, probably by noontime, you're going to have your house on MLS. When you do this process, I would say taking pictures is really critical. Try to be careful about how you take pictures. Make sure the house is really clean. Stage the pictures, stage the room, stage whatever you're trying to do. Like you probably can see my dog in my picture, and I'm doing kind of the opposite here, but I'm a little more informal than how I am when I was actually trying to sell the house. So if you just try to get everything so it looks good and tidy and clean, and the best that it can look, make sure the lighting is right, use a good camera when you take the pictures. It's a big deal because there's a lot of other properties here in Maine, especially my area in Maine. There's the competition kind of in the price range that I was in is sort of medium. There's not a ton of people in this range. There's some much nicer homes and some lower end homes, but this kind of the middle of the road. There's not a lot of competition right now. So if you can, but if you can make your house just look that much better, really good front yard pictures, backyard pictures, all that kind of stuff, it's gonna make a difference on those people who pick up the phone or drive by and call and say, hey, I want to come see this thing. So definitely do a good job on the pictures. Take the time on the disclosure paperwork, get all that filled out right, and write a good description, so that people see it. And then I'd say number two, after number one of just filling out the paperwork, number two, be ready to deal with the emails, phone calls, and showings. It does take some time, and it can catch you off guard a little bit. You know, put your happy face on and be prepared to deal with people. You know, depending on your home and your area, it might take you longer or shorter period of time than it took me, but I just think that's you just got to be warm and friendly and ready to deal with them. And then the other thing, number three, be ready to represent yourself. So the buyer is going to have an agent, and that agent's going to be talking directly to you. You no longer have the buffer of a seller agent, which is what you're saving the commission on. So you're going to pay the buyer agent 3% commission or 2.5 or whatever you decide to post on your listing. But I would say you want to definitely go with whatever is kind of standard in your market. And you really want that agent because they're going to work for you too. Even though they're working for the buyer, they're going to deal with the purchase and sales. They're going to help set up the home inspections and the different things like that. And they're going to do a lot of legwork. So it's definitely going to be super helpful to have a good rapport with them and, you know, be friendly. But also remember, they are representing the buyer, not you as the seller. So be a little bit guarded about what you say and just try to be careful with your wording, not to give anything away, especially if you're in negotiation process. You know, be a little tactical minded so that you don't end up with offers that are swayed based on what you let loose. So just be thoughtful about that. I know it's easy for me, like, to want to be more transparent or more outgoing with people, and you just want to get your mindset of this is business, and you need to be thoughtful because you can cost yourself a lot of money by saying the wrong things. So just be conscientious of that. But once again, I highly recommend this. The website's kind of crappy. It's pretty, isoldmyhouse.com. Very old school looking. You could guess that it's something from the early 2000s, but it's very simple to use. It's just there's no modernization of the website there. And I didn't even use, they provide like a free listing on their own service. I didn't even use that. I didn't take the time to fill any of that stuff out. Honestly, once it's on the MLS, it's either going to sell or it isn't. So that's all I did. I didn't buy the lockbox. I didn't buy the yard signs or any of that. I just got it listed on MLS, and that's all I really needed it for. And for $399, it seems like money well spent. And the only thing we're waiting for now is a closing date on our place. So it went really well. So highly recommend it. Of course, that's my opinion. And if you are trying to sell your house, good luck with it. I hope it sells quick.